Have you ever wondered how to overcome fear, shyness, and social anxiety so that you can build confidence for life? In this video, I'm going to share with you what I have found to be the most effective way of doing that. A lot of what I see online from other trainers, it just doesn't fit the bill for what it really takes to build actual confidence and overcome social anxiety, overcome some of your fears so that you can be your best, your boldest, and your bravest self. You have probably seen content around these two categories. There are some people who say, oh, you just need exposure. Put yourself in situations where you will feel intimidated. Put yourself in situations that scare you. And through exposure, you can move forward. Then there's another camp here who says, you know what? Those insecurities, that shyness, the social anxiety, that comes from within. That comes from stuff that happened in your past, probably in childhood. And in order to overcome this thing, this social anxiety, this fear, you need to work on your inner beliefs. You need to change your mindset. You need to change your identity to someone who does go forward. Now, both can actually work. However, neither of them are effective. So let me give you the flaws with both of those plans. When you go for the just do it kind of approach, right? Like Shia LaBeouf, like just do it. That kind of stuff. When you go for that route, guess what's going to happen? You're going to make some progress and you will feel a little bit better. However, what you're literally doing is you're desensitizing yourself to the fear of rejection, the fear of criticism. And basically by putting yourself in a situation, you just worsen the effects of the fear. It's not that the fear isn't there suddenly anymore. It still is. However, you are less sensitive to it. So in a way, it kind of works. The downside, it doesn't change you in here. And you have to keep doing it over and over again. Because when you stop doing it, now you lose this, the resistance to the fear that you have built up. It's kind of like what happened during COVID. Suddenly on Reddit, you saw a ton of people afterwards, when people were allowed to come back together, where they just I don't know how to be social anymore. Well, of course not. For 2 years, you weren't allowed to be social. And now they have to just basically retrain themselves by going through the exposure over and over and over again. So whatever you don't use, you lose. So when you only focus on this just do it kind of side, that is where you have to continuously keep moving forward. Otherwise, it's not going to work. On the other hand, you have your inner beliefs. However, that sometimes is ineffective for one simple reason. And for this, let's use positive affirmations as an example. No matter how many times you say, I am this, I am that, I'm the other thing, your mind usually doesn't believe you. And with positive affirmations, there is the affirmation you say out loud, but there's also the affirmation you say inside of your own head. So when you say, I'm the greatest, I can do anything, there's also that little voice on the other side that says, no, you're not. I don't believe you. You are not that person that you say you are. Which is why those kinds of affirmations can sometimes just completely fail. And this work on your inner beliefs, that doesn't really work either. So when it comes to positive affirmations, and this is going to make sense in just a moment, here's what you do. For example, if I wanted to create the identity that I am an avid learner and reader, I don't just say to myself that I'm a reader. What I would do is I would pick up one of these things. Great book, by the way, Atomic Habits. And I would open the book. I would read. Then the next day, what I would do is I would take this thing again. I will open it, hopefully a few pages later. I would read. The day after that, I would pick up my book and I would open it and read, right? So only when you match your words with your actions is your mind actually going to believe the things you're trying to build into yourself, the identity and the beliefs you're trying to change. Your mind needs proof, not promises of you getting better. Your mind needs proof that you're moving in the direction you say you're moving into, which is why this working on your beliefs often fails. It is a great exercise. I do it myself as well. However, it is just like how they build a tunnel. When they build a tunnel, they don't just start digging. They start digging on both ends, and then they meet in the middle of the tunnel. So with this, you actually need both approaches to build your confidence, to overcome shyness, fear, social anxiety. You need both of them. Because when you work on your inner beliefs, it becomes believable when you start also going out there in the real world and doing things you say that you can do, that you're going to do. Now your mind hears, I am getting more confident day by day by day. And it sees you putting yourself outside of your comfort zone to do the things that scare you. And now your mind's like, you know what? There's something to this. That can work. That is the crucial element. And then on the other hand, if you go out and you try it without working on the beliefs, eventually you're going to stop. Because the fears that were inside of you were never addressed. And the great part is, both of these areas strengthen one another. Because when you put yourself in a situation where you feel uncomfortable, your mind is going to tell you exactly what the hell is up. You're going to feel your heart pounding. You're going to freeze up. And in those moments, what I would like to challenge you to do is the following. Instead of asking, I feel so terrified, I feel overwhelmed, what do I do now? Instead of that kind of panic, just take a step back. Ask yourself, why do I feel this way right now? And just wait and shut up until your mind answers the question. And you can even ask, when was the first time I felt like this in a social situation? When was the first time I felt like this when talking to a girl? And again, you wait until you get an answer. And now what your mind is doing, there are things in your subconscious that your mind is now going to bring up that you would never have discovered if you didn't put yourself in this uncomfortable situation over a year. And now you have the fuel. So when it comes to, should I be pushing my boundaries or should I be doing the inner work? It's kind of like a car. What is more important, the engine or the wheels? Truth is, you need both. So with this approach, you blend the best of both worlds. You increase your belief through your proof, and you are able to continue going because you also work on your beliefs at the same time. So now it works from two directions, and both of them strengthen one another. And for now, let's dive into the final element that you need to keep in mind. And that is the power of what comes out of this thing, as well as the inner voice inside of your own head. The power of your words. Because a lot of people go about it the wrong way. They would say something like, I'm trying to build confidence because I'm not a confident person. I'm trying to become more disciplined because I'm just very lazy. I'm trying to improve myself because I'm a loser. Have you ever found yourself in that kind of mindset? If so, you probably also find yourself just going around and around and around and around in circles. And the reason is the following. You follow your words. Let me break that down for you because it's crucial. When people say, I'm just not a disciplined person, but I'm trying to get better, people think they're describing their present day self. In reality, I'm not a disciplined person. That describes your future self. Because anything that you attach to the words I am, that becomes part of here, your identity. And our minds, they all have a need, not a want, a need to stay congruent with who we say that we are. So when you say, I'm a loser, I'm not disciplined, I'm lazy, when you say all of those things, those become part of who you are, how you identify yourself. So you cannot get to a more confident you, when at the same time you also say, I'm just not a confident person, or I'm just not an outgoing person, or when you see people just chatting everyone up at a party or something, and you're like, oh, no, that's not for me. That's what you're affirming to yourself as well. So mind your words, because either one has to go. Either the words that you say that you're not like confident, that you don't have all of these like insecurities around you, or your wish to become more confident and to overcome your social anxiety, insecurities, and the fears. Either one has to go. And one final thought that I'm going to leave you with, every single person on this planet has some kind of fear. It is not that the people you look up to are somehow just free as a bird from this like shyness, social anxiety. No, they had to like train themselves to become bolder and to stand above those fears. They feel the same fears, but they do it anyway. So that's the thing. You don't need to be motivated to take action. You don't need to feel completely confident to go and take the next step. You take the next step, and that reinforces the confidence. That reinforces the way you make progress. So it's the switcheroo. It's the other way around. So I'm going to leave you with that. And with that said, have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next video.